enough of this nambly-pambly community crap. Let's talk about making money! My name is Phil Kahn. I'm an independent webcomics creator. I forgot to mention, I will have my credentials show up in a second, but I was also a Geek Awards nominee for comic writer. Thank you. Anyway, webcomics. I'm Phil Kahn. I've been doing comics independently for a long time. I've been doing it well for not as long a time, but that's why I'm here to talk to you today. Terminology, let's just break it down here. Comics, we know what comics are. They're a bunch of images in a row that you're supposed to read in order. It's not that complicated. Comics can be online, but what makes a webcomic? A webcomic is a comic that exists on the web primarily as its avenue. How does one make a webcomic? Well, you take comics and you put them on the web. I know, it's simple, but you gotta do it for a long time. Don't ever stop and enjoy being poor. There's no more steps after that. How does one make a good webcomic? Excellent question. That's a question everyone should be asking. You gotta be original and sincere with your work. You gotta put the work out there that you wanna see being done. And you can't ever stop honing your skills. And you gotta post the comics when you say you're gonna do it, and you gotta get better at doing it. And how do I get people to read my comic? You tell me. No, I'm just kidding. You gotta make friends with other webcomic creators. The community exists on the internet, on the entire world, in the galaxy. Social media, advertising, and above all, be patient. If you build it, they will come, and that is true. Most webcomics exist out there as a kind of answer to the newspaper strip, much more so than an answer to the superhero comics. So they often reflect geek culture, but the whole gamut of genre exists on a great spectrum. But there are two primary types of comics that exist out there. One is the serialized story, and one is the gag-a-day. And one resembles more of the monthly comic, and one resembles more of the newspaper comic. And if you read webcomics, you'll see a few of your favorites up there. I try to be popularist about it. Anyway, the big difference between them in terms of business models is that if you're doing a serial comic, I'll have an example coming up in here, but the investment to reader ratio is different on each side. So if you're doing a serial comic on the left-hand side, the investment will be high, but the audience will be comparatively smaller. But if you're doing a gag-a-day comic, the readership will be much higher, but the investment on a per person in their heart basis will be much smaller. They average out to being the same. How do you make money at it? Oh, I'm glad you asked. My friend Rob Balder of Erfold says making money in webcomics is the act of making 10/10ths of a living. You will have several revenue sources, and you'll have to utilize them all to your best ability. They come from advertising. They come from books, which I have and are on sale. I have a few copies with me today, only 20 bucks. You make merchandise. You get subscription content. You sell your original art, and you do donations and crowdfunding. There's no shortage of ways to make money in comics. Advertising. I don't really have to get into this. You put ads on your site, the Google AdSense, it's not complicated. Just put the ads on your site and tell them to pay you for the space. It's really simple. I'm Matthew Lescu. I can show you to get free money. Book collections, yes. People still want physical books, ebooks as well. Usually, you want to put some exclusive content in your book because they want to be incentivized that they will get something more from your print edition than what they'll simply get on the website. And your merchandise also is pretty straightforward. You want to do t-shirts, you want to do buttons, but you want to do what I call broad reach items. And those are items that will appeal to people that don't exclusively read your comic. Things that will, generalize a joke as opposed to being exclusive to your content. And subscriptions exist as a model too. There is the pay to read the comic online. That doesn't work so well, but you want to have like a section that's where the DVD extras, the people that are the super huge fans want to join your booster club and sign up for. Original art. I am primarily a writer, but if you're a cartoonist and you do both ends of the spectrum, you want to sell your original art. You want to get it out there because you cannot be that attached to your art. Otherwise, you shouldn't put it on the internet because people can freaking steal it. So donations and crowdfunding. Yes, sometimes people just like to give you money because they like you. Let them! Also use Kickstarter and crowdfunding sources to do your big projects. We're going to have a Kickstarter for the big Volume 2 coming up soon. And conventions, this is my favorite part. I love going straight to the conventions. Wizard World Philly, PhilCon, all these different cons. Do them as much as you can. Get your face out there, get your promos out there, and engage your audience directly, face to face, eye to eye. Sell your book! Buy my book. It's 184 full-color pages of full-on fantasy action and 6 whole issues, an exclusive 8-page bonus story. All yours today for only $19.99 plus shipping and handling. I'm Phil Kahn of Gilded Age. Give me your